Hey, what is going on, everybody? Welcome to another great episode of LiamPicksFights. Today, I'm going to be quickly breaking down for you the Lowkey Banger of the week. This is the, I believe it's going to be the pay-per-view main card opener, although the lineup of these fights has been changing around a little bit. I just saw a lot of people on Twitter frustrated that Katlyn Chookagian will be making her return to pay-per-view this weekend, but lucky for me and lucky for all the local crew in my area, my part of New York, Shane Burgos is a local guy, and he is going to be fighting in the Lowkey Banger of the week this week against Edson Barboza. This is a huge featherweight matchup. Shane Burgos has had a lot of success in the UFC, but he's also come up short on a handful of occasions in the UFC. That was against Calvin Kattar early on in his UFC run. And in addition, his last time out against Josh Emmett, he was turned away. I believe that was via unanimous decision. And it was a fight in which Shane had good success moving forward and landing shots. But he was also badly hurt and dropped in the third round more than once by Josh Emmett's powerful hooks. Josh Emmett actually tore his knee early on in that fight and was still able to find success, which is a little bit of a cause for concern. When we look at the ways that Shane has been tested inside of the octagon, it has typically been on the feet by, strong striking presences, and sometimes not all that strong in terms of the striking presence. Kurt Holobaugh was able to drop, Shane with a punching combination, and Shane finished him very shortly thereafter when he tried to follow up on the ground. And so we got to see the proficient guard work in that situation from Shane Burgos. But, Kurt Holobaugh, he had a big height, reach, and age advantage in that fight and was dropped by a punching exchange. Then we look forward as well at the Josh Emmett fight. He was officially knocked down twice in that fight, although I would argue that I saw 3 in that third round. Or what was very close to a third knockdown in that third round against Josh Emmett. And so Shane obviously had a lot of success, and he's had a tremendous amount of success on offense in the UFC. He's landing a insane amount of significant strikes, I believe something over 7 per minute, which is UFC record level output. However, in order to generate that kind of output, you have to be there to be hit. You have to be in range. And I think that in a fight with somebody like Edson Barboza, we know how dangerous Edson is. In his last fight, Edson was able to drop Makwan Amirkhani, who, granted, is not the striker that Shane Burgos is, not even close. And we saw that Shane was able to clean up Makwan without much issue as well. But it was a different style of performance, right? If you go back and watch the Makwan and Shane fight, that's like a grinding performance from Shane where, he faces a little bit of early adversity. Makwan goes pedal to the metal, trying to get Shane out of there with wrestling, and Makwan, as he has done many times in the UFC, expends a bunch of energy pursuing a takedown heavy strategy in the first round and a half and finds himself lacking in terms of cardio the rest of the way out. And in that fight in particular, he just got the hell beaten out of him by Shane when he was already completely gassed. And so I think when people are running to the betting window to back Shane Burgos here, people that aren't from the Monroe, New York area, people that aren't from Section 9 and that are rooting for our local guy, our hometown guy, representing Tiger Schulman's MMA, I think that the people that are watching the UFC broadly and are looking at this fight are saying, man, the Shane Burgos kid, he's younger, he's got a ton of output, he seems like a pretty durable guy, which I would also acknowledge Shane's very durable. He's a huge 145, got a very big frame. Edson's coming down from 55, and they have a similar size frame in this spot. I don't think that Edson's going to have a significant size advantage, but I do think that Edson may have a speed advantage in this matchup. I think that that'll certainly be close. I think that the volume and the output obviously favor Shane. I think that the pace over a 3-round fight favors Shane Burgos. But I do think that when we're talking about just the striking, the technical striking in the pocket, those right straights down the middle from Edson Barboza that dropped Amirkhani several times, I don't see why those couldn't drop Shane Burgos. He's been dropped in the UFC several times. He's been rocked. He's been hurt. He's been found by the hooks and the uppercuts of several of his opponents, especially down, as the fight starts to progress, some of the movement, some of the in and out, some of the head fakes and things that Shane does to evade early strikes. And his head movement is great, by the way, when he's focused on it. When he's slipping punches intentionally, he has a very good slip off the center line and dig to the body hook. So he's got great tools offensively, and I think that the longer this fight plays out, the more it favors Shane Burgos. If this fight sees the scorecards, I think that Shane, could very well take over this fight in rounds 2 and 3, steal the fight, win a split decision, could take over late and knock out Edson Barboza in that 3rd round. But I also think that, it's a little bit sketchy of a spot when we're talking about a 60+% indication on Shane Burgos in this spot, if he's going to be in a striking exclusive fight with Edson Barboza. A lot of guys, even talented strikers, end up trying to take down Edson because they're getting hurt on the feet by hard shots. He's got excellent kicks to the leg. He's got a switch kick to the body that could drop anybody. He can put knees and kicks to the liver with precision. He's got excellent hands in the pocket. So I would say that Shane Burgos is likely the side. I think that I favor him to win this fight at roughly a 55% clip. So I don't think that I'm going to be taking moneyline action on this fight. I'm considering a play on Shane Burgos by knockout at +375. I think that because he's the younger guy, he should have a durability advantage in this fight. But like I said, what concerns me about this fight for Shane is what concerns me about any striking-based fight for Shane, which is his willingness to get hit. He's a warrior. He's a guy who's not afraid of a fight. He is the epitome of the kind of fighter that Dana White is looking to sign, in my opinion. He's a tough son of a gun. He's a true fighter's fighter. But I also think that when you're going against a striker of the technicality, of the skill, of the precision, especially early, of the explosivity of Edson Barboza, who's been in there with guys who are probably more talented than him before, a la Beneil Dariush, who is outstriking him comfortably with volume, and then it only takes one shot from Edson Barboza to change everything. And I think that if you're looking at the Shane Burgos side of this fight and looking for a red flag, it's that he's been hit hard in almost every fight he's had in the UFC, whether he wins or not. He went blood and guts in some ways with Cub Swanson, where they had a very similar output striking affair. If he's doing that with Edson, I feel like it's a really, really dangerous fight. I'd like to see Shane, as a fan of his and as somebody that wants to see him have long-term success and viability in the UFC, I'd like to see Shane be intelligent about pushing the clinch in this matchup, about putting Edson back against the cage, forcing him to stay there with cage control, pressure, use your wrestling, use your pace, and force Edson to fight a dirty fight early. I think that if this fight is contested at range the whole time, like I said, it'll favor Shane the longer it goes on, but early, Edson will be very dangerous, and Shane will be there to be hit. I'm afraid about the dipping into knees. I'm afraid about the dipping into big uppercuts. I'm afraid of that straight right hand that's very fast from Edson Barboza finding the mark early. And, I think Edson Barboza, if I had to talk about one other skill from Edson, his ground and pound is underrated. I don't know that he wants to spend a ton of time in Shane's guard. Shane obviously has a very good guard. We discussed that armbar finish that he was able to get over Kurt Hollabaugh. But I also think that, Edson's no slouch on the ground, especially when he's fresh early on. He's got excellent, devastating ground and pound from the top. And, this is a guy who dropped Dan Ige, who's very durable. I thought that he won the Dan Ige fight on rewatch. I don't think it's a crime. I don't think it was a robbery. I thought it was very close. But I thought that, twice in that fight, Dan Ige, who's one of the toughest guys in the UFC, and again, I'd offer that same, praise and compliment to Shane Burgos, another one of the toughest guys in the UFC. But Dan Ige, as tough as he was, got hit so hard that he dropped twice in that fight. And one time it was pulling guard, so again, it didn't count as a knockdown or anything like that. But Edson really badly hurt and rocked him with an elbow, followed up with the right hand, dropped him in the first. And I believe it was the ending point of that second round with Dan Ige. He was able to put something on the liver of Ige that made Ige pull himself into guard with 30 seconds left in the round. And Ige, who's got good fight IQ, would not be doing that if he wasn't severely compromised. And I think that it's not outside the realm of possibility that Edson Barboza stamps himself as a featherweight title contender with a win over Shane Burgos this weekend. I don't think that is, outside of the conceivable realm of possibilities. I think he's been very competitive with good guys at 145 pounds. I'm talking about Edson Barboza. But I think that the pace, the pressure of Shane Burgos is ultimately what sways this fight in his favor. It's the reason I don't think this fight should be a pick'em. I do think that Shane is the rightful favorite in this spot. He's the younger guy. He's the more durable guy. He's willing to come forward consistently, put offense on you, get in your face. That's the kind of fight that troubles Edson Barboza, and it always has. So unless Edson is able to take him out or to dissuade Shane from coming forward, which I cannot see based on Shane's past performances and the heart and courage that we've seen from him in the octagon. I think that he's going to be coming forward the whole time, and if he's able to keep up that pace and pressure, I like Shane Burgos to finish this fight in the third round. The low-key banger of the week. I think both guys are going to be on wobbly legs at one point in this matchup. I think that it's an excellent fight. Salute the UFC matchmakers. Salute the UFC featherweight division. Hell of a division. Hell of a fight. It should be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. Like I said, I'm thinking about maybe playing that Burgos plus 375 to win by KO, but ultimately, I might put down a half unit as well on the fight does not see the scorecards. I do not think that we're going to get a decision here. I think that we could. I think that if we do, Burgos would be who I favor on the scorecards, but I also think it's going to be a competitive fight. Might sit back and watch and enjoy and leave this one to the hands of the other bettors who don't have a personal bias. I will acknowledge up front, I'm riding for my boy Shane Burgos this weekend. I want to see him get the win. Section 9 will rise again. Let's go. Monroe, New York. Stand up. Shane Burgos is coming to do damage in the low-key banger of the week. God bless you all. Enjoy these fights. UFC 262 coming at you fast. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you again soon.